to commit into the hands of God the soul of his servant Queen Elizabeth.
Now on BBC One, the BBC News with Fiona Bruce, live from Windsor.
In a day of ceremony and sorrow, the nation and the world has bidden farewell to Queen Elizabeth II. King Charles followed the procession of his mother's coffin from Westminster Hall as the state funeral began. The coffin was carried into Westminster Abbey for a service attended by 2,000 guests, including 500 foreign leaders, royals and dignitaries. All the generations together, the Queen's grand and great-grandchildren in solemn procession.
All who follow the Queen's example and inspiration of trust and faith in God can with her say, "We will meet again."
The funeral march echoed around central London as the coffin was accompanied on its final journey by members of the armed forces from the UK and Commonwealth. Around the country, people gathered in towns and cities to watch the funeral and to pay their own respects.
A few of us were singing hymns along and the national anthem, just immensely proud to be British.
Everybody stood up, everybody sang, it was very emotional.
After the spectacular pageantry in London, the day ended here at Windsor, the home of the Queen since childhood. Down the long walk, crowds gathered to watch the Grenadier Guards accompany the late Queen to her last resting place. And in the final act of a day laden with ceremony, the wand of the Lord Chamberlain was broken, symbolising the end of the late Queen's reign, and it will be buried with her. Good evening from Windsor, the final resting place of the late Queen and where a service has just been held in St George's Chapel in honour of her life. Earlier, a day of the highest ceremony, not seen in this country for nearly 60 years, mixed with private sorrow as the state funeral was held in Westminster Abbey, the building in which Queen Elizabeth was married and crowned. King Charles, along with other members of the royal family, walked behind her coffin as it was taken into the Abbey from Westminster Hall, where it had been lying in state. Hundreds of dignitaries, including world leaders, joined members of the royal family and the public at the service. In his sermon, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, said the Queen had touched a multitude of lives during her 70-year reign. We start tonight with our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell on the state funeral held today for Queen Elizabeth.
On a clear morning in September, the world focused its attention on London for the grandest and most solemn of events. For a revered monarch who'd reigned for longer than any other, all the honours of a state funeral. Within Westminster Abbey, where great moments of history have been staged for more than 1,000 years, the leaders of